All right, are you ready for me to run through all of the amazingness for the Neuron Project? Let's get to it. Okay, I kind of did specifics for each one in a little bit, but let's go through the 4 options. Option number 1, creating a model using various supplies that I have. Now, if you have something else you want to bring from home, I'm not opposed to that. These are the materials I'm providing, okay? Then, as we move over here we have the supplies for watercolor painting. Here we have the supplies for building with clay. Remember, do not use this paper here if you need a surface for the clay. That's the watercolor paper. Use some of this paper over here, okay? Because you can use these supplies also with the clay, all right? So there's building it, watercolor, building it out of clay. Remember, you can choose only 3 of these packs, but you could use whatever from this type of clay. It just doesn't really harden. And then finally, you have to go over here. And then here are the supplies for building using a 3D pen, okay? No matter which option you choose, you are going to be building 2 neurons connected and a synapse. 3D pen, or with clay, or with watercolor, or with various supplies. I cannot wait to see what you create. All right, are you ready? So you decided you want to build a neuron using various supplies. What you're gonna do first, you see all these kinds of cardstock, you're gonna pick one. Or if you're like, I wanna make it smaller, pick one of these, but you probably need a template to build it on top of. So I don't want it to end up bigger than this size sheet of paper. So you're going to choose a color or choose one of these. And then you're going to use these various supplies to build your neuron. There's felt, cotton balls, pom-poms, barley, pasta, its elbows and diddlini, some beads, some boondoggle cord, some different embroidery floss. We have some matchsticks, stickers, yarn. Here we have pipe cleaners, and then some various assorted pieces of fabric. So if you are choosing to build your neuron from various supplies, here is where you are going to get your materials. Okay, and now if you are choosing to do the watercolor painting, I have this watercolor paper. Choose a larger or a smaller size, pick one. Choose a palette. So I have 2 types. One only has 8 colors, one has 16. Pick a palette. They have a brush in here, but I do have extra brushes back here. These cups right here, you're gonna take to the sink, fill with water for, changing colors. And then you can take a few paper towels, to dab your brush as needed. All right, so if you are doing watercolor painting, here are your supplies. At the end of class, you would take your water that you were rinsing the colors in, dump it down the drain, rinse out the cup, and then just leave it in the sink like that to dry, okay? That's what you would do if you are doing the watercolor. You're not going to set it back on this pile, but we're going to reuse the cups during the process. All right, so there's everything for watercolor. All right, if you are choosing to build your model out of clay, all right, you can choose the type of clay. So this is the kind of doesn't really harden type of clay. Obviously you can see primarily I have this color. I do have some other colors here and a whole package of red. You can use freely from what is there. If you choose to use the Model Magic, this is kind of the self-hardening clay, then you may choose 3. So there are a few color choices in here. So you could pick a red, a blue, a yellow. So I can choose 3 all right? There's also black to choose from, but I can only pick 3 colors. I can only pick 3 packages. If you want it all to be the same color, you can choose 3 of the same, but regardless, you can only choose 3. Do not open one of these as it gets to the end of class, as this is self-hardening. I can put them in a Ziploc bag, but it kind of tends to harden on its own anyway. So what I would recommend if you are choosing this option is look over here. Do you see? Here's the Build a Neuron supplies. Use a small sheet like this or a larger sheet of cardstock just as your surface. And if you want to use some of these pieces in addition to the clay, that's absolutely acceptable. So those supplies are over here. And then if I turn this way, here is the clay. Okay, so that is if you choose that option. Okay, if you are choosing the 3D pen, here is where your supplies are. Here are the silicone tips for your finger to protect the end that is going to be close to the tip of the 3D pen. The blue is the smaller size. I have fat fingers, so I use the clear one. When you are finished, notice there are some alcohol pads here. You're going to clean it before you return it to this container. Here are the colors of filament. I recommend minimizing to just a couple of colors because the loading and unloading and changing of the filament does take some time. Okay. If you are choosing the MyNT3D printing pen, you have 2 here. So you would, if you were the first person grabbing it, you would take a mat, take a pen, cord, block, okay? If you are the second person, this would be gone, right? So then there's your mat and there's your pen, okay? Over here, we have the scribed 3D pen. So if you are first, you're gonna take a pen and then a 3D, the printing pad from this pile. And then the next person continues. The last person would take the last mat and the last pen. There's an exact number out here. So then you're going to put them back exactly in the same location. The white cords here, these pens here like this, black cords, the black 3D pens. All right, so it should look like this when you are finished.